Hello, happy May 31st. Hope everyone's having a really great day. It's sunny here. It was cloudy today. It's been 90, 91, and today it dropped down to the 80s, so yay. Because 90 in May was a little bit too much. Still a little too much heat for my liking, but I am very blessed to be in air-conditioned upstairs in my apartment complex. I live upstairs in the southwest apartment, so my apartment gets a lot of sun, and I'm in the corner pocket, so I get a lot of heat. So if it's like 68 outside, it's 81 in here. Yeah, and I like to cook and be in the kitchen a lot and bake, so it can get really hot really quick. I was just talking to my property manager. I just went over to pay the rent, and I was chit-chatting with her, and she was saying she has to keep turning the air conditioner on and off because it gets really cold, and then she turns it off, and then it gets really hot again, and she's in the basement. And I said, I'm upstairs. That's what happens. You can't really be in the room with the air conditioning because it's kind of right on you, but, you know, outside there's like, it's just... There's a breeze, there's trail wind, because those wind, a nice breeze, but it's like just hot air. It's just not nice. So I did all my walking, got my vitamin D in, took my vitamin D, and then got outside and got the real vitamin D through all the ozone crap. Hopefully I got enough of it. And I've gotten a little farther on my Afghan, which it's been too hot to do. It's been way too hot to do this, but I am to here. And it's really, really long, so it's going to be a long, long Afghan. And I sat outside earlier and just kept going with it, and then I had to just look up because I get dizzy for doing that for too long. I thought I'd weigh in and talk just a little bit about Roseanne Barr, and about the Illuminati, and about, or what people call the shadow government, or the Illuminate, or the elite. And then also mention a little here and there about Prince Rogers Nelson, the media, the Mirage that we call the media. The media is really the beast. I thought I would talk a little bit about that. I have some thoughts on, I talk about dreams. I'm a dreamer. I don't just dream big or dream things into existence in my everyday life. I'm a dreamer at night. For many, many years, I did not like to go to sleep at night. When I was really, really young, I told this story on my other channel, on the Mom series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity. When I was very young, I used to tell my parents that I didn't want to go to sleep because I was taken away in my sleep, and I went places that I couldn't get back. I was afraid of. And, you know, every kid goes through that time period where they're afraid of their dreams, they're having nightmares, they don't want to go to sleep. I remember my dad saying to me, well, that's the beauty of sleep. You can go magical, beautiful places when you close your eyes. And I said, no, I go places in an airplane that I don't want to be. I want to make sure to get back home. So I've always had those, I call them those kind of dreams. Some people have chalked them up to what they would define as premonition dreams. I feel in my heart, for me, they're more preparation dreams. They don't always come to pass in sequence the way I dream them. There's a lot of symbolism in my dreams, and the time sequence jumps around. So if I do dream something that comes true, it might work like I might show up weeks before preceding the event that came to pass and see a time period that was leading up to an event. Or I might end up at the actual event. And really, I do better in dreams where I end up preceding. I feel like that prepares me even more. And after the event. when I show up in a situation where the event is going down, I'm terrified. I don't know what my purpose is in the dream, what I'm supposed to. I almost feel like they can see me, who I'm seeing in the dream, what I'm seeing unfold. They know I'm there. They can see me. I experience my dreams as flying. So I used to tell my parents I was going in an airplane when I went to sleep and I couldn't get back and I might crash and all these things. Years and years of therapy and talking about multiple personality and dissociative identity disorder and post-traumatic stress and all the different experiences and every little experience. We looked at everything. We looked at dreams. We looked at everything. And I was blessed to have a therapist that he would often say, don't think of me as a shrink, think of me as a stretch. I want to stretch your brain. I want to stretch your mind to go places you haven't been or you're afraid to go, and look at truth and look at possibilities and look at different ways of looking at things. So he was more of a stretch, and it wasn't until we used to joke about it. Okay, it's a stretch. I would say, but don't stretch too much. Don't go too far with this. And he always said, I'll follow your lead. I'm never gonna take you too far with anything. So sensible. But what I realized over the years is there is money to be made in recovery and in exploring and in pathology and in medicalizing and pathologizing a lot that we do. And I talk about all that on the Mom series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity, which is under Awesome Astrid Mosaics channel. And I've been out there since 2007 being a truther about what multiple personality is and what it isn't. And very often what it becomes for them because they've been conditioned and told, this is what it is, this is the model it is, this is how multiples behave, this is how you're going to behave, this is what a multiple system usually has, this is why it usually happens, this is probably going to happen to you. Iatrogenically, we become when we learn about it in the treatment. So I talk about all that there. I talk about the history of multiple personality and dissociative identity disorder. I talk about looking at it culturally, spiritually, historically, and then how the media misrepresents it, and very often how people that experience their lives either self-subscribed or being diagnosed can misrepresent it also by their own behavior and in awareness campaigns and such, and lobbying for people to have better understanding. They can actually shoot themselves in the feet, and they do often. So I talk about all that there. I talk about small screen, big screen, and books and reviews and all that. Over here, this is like my own little world, and my own little corner, my own little world where I can talk about whatever I want to be. I can be whoever I want to be and do whatever I want to do. I can do a craft. I can do it really horrible. I can share a DIY and really screw up. I can strum my guitar and play really bad. I can sing off key. I can talk about politics. I can talk about spirituality, supernatural, and my dreams. And I'm going to talk about my dreams today, and then I'm going to talk about the media a little bit. Please repeat after me. Prince Rogers Nelson was murdered. He did not die because he was a drug addict who took one too many pills. Okay? That is a fairy tale myth that the media is telling us. Alright? The media is part of I don't want to say, I want to be very careful to say this. There is true news out there. There really is. We're not getting enough of it. We're getting a facility, like just a portion of an appearance of truth. You really have to dig for the truth. But the truth is always right at the surface, right at our soul, or at the seat of our soul. It's right there. It's at our gut nudging at us. It's our mini brain truth is right there, always saying, wait a minute, but that doesn't smell right, that doesn't seem right, something's off with that. Follow your instincts with that, and you'll know the truth. Now, you can go too far with it and not trust anything, and so there's a balance with everything. You got to check yourself when you're checking the news and the fake news and the distraction news and the agenda news. There is agenda news that's out there to make money. That's all it is. It's mindless chatter to keep us going, really? And make money. Somewhere along the line, I don't understand how we all forgot that we're human and we're frail and that we screw up and that we're capable of hideous, horrible things. We are. Human beings are capable of hideous, horrible things. We are all 1 week away from being homeless. We are all one reaction away from being a totally insane psychopath. And there is no cure. A lot of times, a person can be perfectly normal. They're doing all the respectable stuff. Maybe they're a reverend in church. Maybe they're greatly respected in their community. Maybe they're your neighbor who's always there and nice, and maybe it's your parent who's always stable and together, and all of a sudden they're not. Maybe it's your husband, your wife, who's always just had your back and been there, and they're your soft pillow, they're your soft spot you can fall to when things get crazy, and all of a sudden they're crazy. There's never been anything preceding it, but and when I use that word carefully because everyone's crazy. Some people just hide it better than others, and some people just do more damage, and some people don't do anything. You know, they get more creative when they're crazy. We really have to take the stigma out of the word crazy. The other thing I want to talk about is, I've said this in other videos, how the media romances got together with psychiatry in the early 40s and asked psychiatrists, and psychiatry was not a very legitimized field at that time. Neurologists were, but not psychiatry. It was just trying to come into its own. And big screen TV was just coming into its own, and big screen, more than just radio, but black and white TV at home, and people being able to have a TV. And they wanted to go to psychiatry to ask, what does a nervous breakdown look like? What does a psychotic look like? What does a retarded person look like? What does an old, frail, demented person look like? What does a homeless person look like? An addicted person look like? And we started seeing these portrayals on TV, in the movies, and big screen and small screen, given to us by psychiatry, who has proven over and over again by just reading their DSM 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 3, 4, 3, 4 revised, 5, and now it's going to be revised again, that there are no absolutes. Medicine is a practice. Understanding the human mind and what can be done is, we don't know. The best thing we can say is we don't know. But when we do know something, we really have to stand by it. I don't know a lot of things, but what I do know is that I dreamt about Prince dying before he died, 2 nights before he died, and I wrote my entire dream on Facebook. Now, there are people out there who I respect and call friend from Facebook the last 2 years, who've been on this journey going into the 3rd year of wanting justice for Prince. There have been all kinds of people that call themselves psychic, mediums, intuitives, channelers, and then people that really worked with Prince and knew him, and his family members who are like, this is not right. This is not what Prince was. This is not, he wasn't an addict. He wasn't dependent. He wasn't addicted. He wasn't. Where is all this spin coming from? Okay. The Illuminati. That's where it's coming from. Who is the Illuminati? The Illuminati is, to begin with, they were an illuminate group of people. They began through Freemasonry, and they were actually very innocent in the beginning. They were a group of the brightest minds, the most articulate, the most, they designed, they were architects, they were engineers, they were painters, they were artists. They were the original beautiful people who saw a beautiful world and said, we know how to do it. Let's make a beautiful world. And they made a little group together and said, we can make this world better. That's not the Illuminati that you see out in Hollywood that's doing this and doing this and all the get up. No. There is always an imposter of everything good out there. There is an imposter. Okay? That's really the bad. So, the Illuminate, they actually stole their name too. The illuminated ones were actually good people. And some of them are still, some of their bloodline is still around. And some of their inventions are still around. And some of the things they did are still very prevalent in our world. And it's good. And then there are the people that came along and saw the Illuminati. See, they were jealous. They were jealous. They couldn't get into that group. They were good, but not good enough. They understood what they were doing, but they didn't understand the motive. They had a different motive. They went off like many jealous people that are comparing themselves and wanting to do and imitate like many people do. And they went off and they made their own group. And they called themselves the Illuminati. They work very much like, all I can think of every time I say Illuminati, I think of an octopus because they have tentacles. There are many tentacles and arms that just keep all over. They're far-reaching, and they can just look their right back in. Every person that's always been entrenched with the Illuminati will be trying to get free and then be like, oh, just when I thought I was out, and all I can think of is the Corleones, Al Pacino, in his role of Michael Corleone, saying, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Okay. Many times Prince was saying, just when I thought I was safe, just when I thought I was free, just when I thought, shut up. Okay. In my dream, I know it doesn't follow exactly what some people are saying. For those of you that know me, that you'll know we all hang out together, the Purple Army, Justice for Prince, and we're all friends with Abigail Noel. And if you go to abigailnoel.com, you will see that I'd have to say she's the most proficient, intuitive that I've ever run into, that I find authentic, genuinely authentic. She's raw. She's emotional. A lot of people don't get her raw emotion. I do, because I think a lot of people do get her more than she thinks, but she models a lot of behavior for us that she's not afraid to be who she is. And she feels things very strongly, and she's passionate about her message. You know when you've been right about something. When you know the voice of God, when you know the Holy Spirit deep in your soul, it's a soul cry. You know your soul actually speaks. Your soul cries. It nudges you constantly, and you know it. And we know we're not ignorant if we are listening to God and we're listening to the Holy Spirit, and we take everything to God, and we wake up every morning and we pray, and we go to God, who is our parent, we're going to return to one day, who let us come down to this earth at such a time as this. For some specific reason, we're here to meet the people we meet, to go through what we go through. If we know all that, then we know that God is watching and God's got his eye on us, and God's not going to fall off the throne and miss that we scraped our knee or got pushed by a bully into the mud. What's going on right now is a real cleansing moment. People have been talking about the watershed moments and the Me Too movement and that time's up enough movement. And yakety yak yak yak. And hashtag this, hashtag that. What I've been dreaming about for 10 years, and it's a repetitive dream over and over, one, is that we're all just going to wake up one day and not be able to connect. There will be no internet. No internet. Whenever I dream of this happening, I see the Tower of Babel in the Bible, which is thought to be a mythical writing to get a point across, to get a better message out there. But no, there really is a Tower of Babel. See, the Tower of Babel is the internet. If we follow the myth of the Tower of Babel, at one time the people they all had the same language, and they like-mindedly went and wanted to build a tower to reach the heavens and to touch God and to be able to go back and forth and to get as high as God was up there and get connected and want all the information and knowledge about God. And God, knowing more than we do, looked down and said, no, you can't handle the truth, not now. So we only know in part, okay? And he scattered the languages and he scattered us. But now with the internet, we can just click on translate. Oh, you're in Indonesia? Translate. You're in Bosnia? Translate. You're in Greek? Translate. You're in Bolivia? Translate. You're in Philippines? Translate. Wherever. China? Translate. We can communicate now. And everybody wants to communicate, and we can share knowledge and DIYs and things we know about. Yeah, Western medicine does this, but Eastern does this. And we have that such an incredible ability. Like, the news you're seeing on a little thing on TV says this, but here's a live stream of what's going on here. What's really going on. Okay, so it puts into question everything. Our policemen and women have been put into question. The towers at 911, how that really went down, has been put into question. Every government official that is put into office is in question. All the church leaders that we followed, trusted, are in question, because now everything can be outed. Everything. So I've always dreamt about this, and I used to talk to my therapist about it. I used to say, you know, the Tower of Babel, I feel like we're approaching, with the internet, the ability to gain a knowledge that is very powerful, and we're all able to connect globally, and the borders are coming down because of the internet. Well, the wounds are coming out too because of the internet. The wounds that have been festering behind walls of shame and blame and border walls. Those are all coming down with the internet. And this is why some people are trying really, really hard to put back up walls. This is why when you go to renew your driver's license, there are 2 chips on your driver's license now. I'm going to show you mine. By October 2020, we will need, everyone will need an extended license. Now, I was not able to get mine because I didn't have all of my documentation, so I had to go with a standard license. But by October 20th, if you want to travel across any border internationally, if I want to go to Niagara Falls, Montreal, Toronto, A passport is not going to be good enough. I will need an extended license. Our choices for a driver's license are a real ID, which will get us into federal buildings, and I believe that's it. No, wait. It'll get us on a domestic flight and into a federal building. Standard license will get us into onto a domestic flight and into a federal building, but not across the border, or ability to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. The extended license is going to be required by everyone by October 20th, or by October 2020, October 20th. So when I went to renew my license, I meant to upgrade to the extended. It would have been $64.50 plus $30, and I needed a lot of documentation. I brought everything in but my firstborn child, and still couldn't get it. So I had to go with the standard license. Go back, get the rest of my documentation, because I had a different name on my Social Security card that I had on my birth certificate, because I got married. I have this problem all the time. I'm stuck with my married name, and the timing's never right when I go to change it. And then my full name, I never really gave up my full name, so my full name is still on a lot of documents and things. So, but when you go to write it in, because I changed my Social Security card to that married name 39 years ago now. 39. I've been divorced 38 years. 40 years ago. 40 years ago, and I've been divorced 38 years. It's still on so many documents that I can't get rid of it. So now I'm just waiting to go change my Social Security card and change all my medical stuff and everything over to just my maiden name, and I'll be able to drop that married name. But I didn't have, I had my original birth certificate, my maiden name, put my Social Security card with, my original birth certificate with a stamp on it, the one you need. But the Social Security card didn't match. I had to have 3 forms of identification proving that I lived, and I have lived where I've lived for so long. So I had to come back home and get my divorce decree plus my marriage license, which I'm really glad I didn't burn, like I said in my last video, at a divorce party. Or I would be screwed. I'd have to pay to get that. So I ended up doing a standard license until I could go back to do the extended. When you go back to do the extended, because you didn't do upgrade when you upgraded your license, you have to pay now $42 instead of $30, because they tack on $12.50 more. Nasty. So this is the old license. Okay, it's color, standard license. Get on a domestic plane, get in international, go in a federal building, and vote with it. Fine. And now you have to show these when you go for anything medical, anything. You show up for blood work. You show up at your doctor's office. Your prescription refill. This, okay, and of course to drink and buy liquor and cigarettes, whatever. This is a new one. It's black and white, and I look strange there. I don't know, like, and it has chip. I want you to see the chip. I want you to see the shape of the chip. You see the chip? See it? Okay. And then the back has a chip. You put your thumbprint right there. Very interesting, these chips. Okay, no chips here. Now, when I get the extended one, it will have a little star here. And that will prove that I'm a U.S. citizen. Because the walls are going up. Countries are going to be going into lockdown. They are. I dreamt about all of this long time ago. Oh, here's what I wanted to show you. I even had my Social Security. I had my Social Security card. A gold one that matched my birth certificate, and they still wouldn't even take this one. So it's not real gold. It's one that they give you where they. So my maiden name is on this one, and my maiden name was on my birth certificate, but they still wouldn't accept it. And I got this from the Social Security Department. That year you were able to get it embossed and put it in so that they have my divorce decree and my marriage license. So don't wait till October 20th to do that. Get in well in advance, because if you have to be able to prove that you lived somewhere, don't move during that time period, and the standard license only takes 7 to 10 days. Mine took 14 days to get to me. The extended one will take 2 to 3 weeks, and they won't accept an interim paper license. So that's just a little side bonus thing that I'm thinking about. I wanted to talk about Roseanne Barr and the Illuminati. Roseanne Barr has been a truther for a long time. And like many truthers, she was thought cuckoo, nuts, and just wacko and out there, because when she first came out about the Illuminati and about the government, about everything, about Hollywood, first she blamed everything on being a multiple, having multiple personality. And she explained that she was a programmed multiple. You'd have to understand that she grew up Mormon, that she, I'm not saying that all Mormons are, but that she also, read her book. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. Read her book. She really knew a lot about the government, the shadow government, or the elite, or what is the Illuminati. She really understood the way Hollywood and politics work together, and the media. She understood the machine, okay, and how it keeps going, ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. She understood it. She rolled that all into comedy and pushed the envelope, much like George Carlin did. George Carlin could get away with saying horrible things on stage, nasty. He used the C word more than anybody else. F-bombs all over the place and the C word everywhere. And people that went to see him expected to hear that. I remember when Max's husband and I went to see George Carlin. He wanted to go. He really loved George Carlin. And I sat there going, why does he keep using the C word? Why does he keep dropping the F? It just loses. It's not funny. It's taking away. It's just lazy. I saw it as lazy. A lazy way to do comedy. My ex-husband just kept saying, just listen to the message. Get the bottom line of what he's saying. There were other, what was the name? Larry Bruce? Am I saying it right? Why am I faltering on his name? Larry Bruce? Quite a few. Robin Williams. A lot of comedians go out there and they really go into a whole different, all kinds of personas to get their political jives in and truth in. And they say a lot of things distastefully and funny sometimes, and they can get away with it on stage. But then when they're in an interview talking one-on-one, like I remember Robin Williams could do all this crazy stuff on stage and everybody loved it. Loved it. Jim Carrey could go totally off the wall on stage and everybody loved it. But when he sat down in an interview and tried to talk about those same things, leaving a little of the funny out, but really talking about those things, he was looked at as a little touch, a little crazy, or out there. Same thing with Roseanne Barr. I'm very glad she didn't default to one of my alters did that tweet, okay? Because here's what I don't understand. There used to be a little show called All in the Family where Carol Oconner played Archie Bunker. He said horrible, horrible things about Muslims, about Chinese, about Jewish, and about black people, about African American, about mixed races, about every horrible thing that we've ever heard said. He could get away with saying as a character, Archie Bunker. Same thing with Roseanne Barr. She tackled a lot of political issues with the Roseanne Barr show, the original one, and got away with saying horrible stuff. And her kids got to act equally disgusting to her. I always thought, what's wrong with those kids? The Simpsons could get away with doing and saying whatever they want in character. South Park, Modern Family, all of these shows can get away as long as they're in character and script. But, oh, the writer wrote it. I'm just the character. I said it. Got a laugh. Ha ha ha. Everybody uncomfortably giggled and kind of ha ha. Why did we go back for more? Because it resonated with some of us what they were saying, because some of us did think that way. Okay? So, because there are racists out there. And we believe all kinds of crazy shit. All of us do. And in character, Roseanne could be Roseanne and be outlandish. But in a tweet, no can do. I don't get it. I don't get it. Had she said what she tweeted as Roseanne in the show, TV show. There are a lot of people getting railroaded out there under the Me Too, Time's Up, oh, my feelings are hurt, that's racist, that kind of thing. And we're missing the main point. There are truths that need to be told. Now, that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but, I mean, what she said may have seemed really off the cuff and just out there. But I don't think anybody's looked into the intent of why she said it either. And I was noticing the other day with Mario Batali being accused of sexual crimes now from years ago, how they canceled the show he was on, who he was like a fourth co-host on the Chew. So the other three co-hosts have lost their job. All the lighting people, the camera people, the writers, the scenery, the stage setup, all those people have lost their job. All the guest chefs that went have lost their job. When all they had to do was remove the old guy slapped his hands and took his restaurants away from him. But he didn't even own his restaurant. Sands Vegas owned his restaurant. Some of this is just so distracting, it's backward, and it doesn't make any sense. Getting back to Prince. It doesn't make any sense. The man was not a drug addict. How do I know he was not a drug addict? Well, I know. Number two, if we're going to go by the autopsy report, if Prince had been taking Percocet, Percodan, Vicodin, or Oxycodone in the family of opiates, for so long, for so many ailments that hurt him, and he grew so dependent on it, that he had to eventually take such a large dose out of a stash that almost previously killed him the week before. His organs would have shown the damage. His brain would have had damage. His lungs would have had damage. His heart, his pancreas, his liver, his gallbladder definitely would have had damage. His kidneys would have had damage. Ooh, big time. His organs would have been shutting down if he had for like 30, 40 years been like overtaking opiates, which is what they want us to believe. Who's they? The elite. Who's the elite? The government. Who's the government? The media. who's the media, the shadow government. They control everything. Think of them like a mob family or a big octopus. Think of them like the Corleones. They've got somebody at a casino. They've got another person working in real estate, another person working in environmental waste, another person working in restaurants, another person who's a medical doctor, another person who's a funeral, I can't think of the name of it now, a mortuary, what are they called? A medical examiner, or the people that, check the body after a person dies. They have people that are in the police stations, because the police are dirty too. They have lawyers in their family. Think of, they put someone everywhere so that they're taken care of. They don't have to go outside of their family to be taken care of. And if you do not stay in that family and do what you're supposed to do, you don't get the perks of the family, which is the money and the accolades and the status, and you also get threatened with death. So that's how the Illuminati operates. I have never been an open channel. I don't walk around talking to the dead or asking to talk to Prince or Michael Jackson or anyone, or I don't do that. But for some people I know, they are open channels, and what that means is that they're not conjuring, they're not doing voodoo, they're not looking at a crystal ball, they're not making little sock puppets to play with, they're not doing potion spells and conjurings, they're not smudging their house all day, they're just going about their business, and they know the voice of God. And they genuinely just hear what from the person that God brings to them, the person that has crossed over in their ascended, the essence of their ascended soul. And they drop knowledge on that person as to how they died. Sometimes it could be, sometimes maybe it's not how they died, but if they were murdered, maybe it is. Maybe they just want to come through and say, they have unfinished business, whatever. And I find it interesting that people that do, that are out there really pleading the cause that Prince was murdered, that they saw everything that happened within a 36-hour period before the news came out with all the stuff. The only psychic medium intuitive out there that's been right on the mark, right from the get-go of everything with this, has been Abigail Noel. If you go to abigailnoel.com and then you go to Justice 4, the number 4, Prince, you will understand what I'm talking about. She's not somebody that ever sought fame. She's just always heard from God from a young age. Why would we question somebody who's always heard from God, who calls themselves an intuitive, but we don't question televangelists, or not everybody does, who are anointed and hear from God that we're supposed to give them $500 at an offering because God said so. What? So I've always been interested in those people that get to fly under the radar of hearing voices and hearing from God and just knowing stuff, and they can chalk it up to being anointed. And others that they end up being, well, they're just crazy, or they're charlatans, or they're frauds, or they're scammers. Okay? So I believe in my whole heart that Abigail Noel is the real deal, but more than that, I know that I'm the real deal. I know there's a lot of people that have received information about Prince's death and about this government and where we are spiritually right now, and we are the people that are awake. There's a lot of awake people out there. This government needs to implode on itself, and it will. America the Great is not America the Great at all. We're gone. We're sold and bankrupt. We're rotted at the core. We're systemically rotted. It's all about keeping people working right now. So everything is made cheap just to keep people working, keep them working, keep them working. Rents are sky high. The substructures, everything is a mess. It's never going to be rebuilt through this government. It's going to be rebuilt through God's government when God's government comes. Jesus Christ did not come from spirit, from God, and let go of his position in the Godhead, triune with God, to come down to earth, to die a horrible death on the cross, to teach a new way of believing. He came down to start a new government, and the government would be on his shoulder, and the government is his Father's government, a new kingdom, and it's all in the Lord's Prayer. It's all right there. Say the Lord's Prayer and you'll get it. So I have dreamt from a young girl. I used to have dreams that came definitely true within days. One of the first dreams I dreamed was when I was very young, and I had never met my great-great-grandmother. Or my great-grandmother. I had never met her. Didn't know her. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was crying that I was, a scary lady was dying. And I hadn't heard anything about anybody being sick or anything. I lived with my mom and my grandma, but it was her mother that was dying. I knew that she had been sick, or had a heart problem or something, but she was on the mend. I woke up and I said, a lady died, and I said, and I was there, and I saw all of you there crying, and my mother was who died, and I didn't have anything to go by because I had no picture of her. And there were pictures out, and I went directly to the picture and picked it up and handed it to my mother. I said, it's this lady here. Within 15 minutes, my grandmother was on the phone that her mother had just died. That kind of stuff has happened all my life. Not all, I mean, there was one night I was dreaming there was a wasp in the room, and that my cat was trying to protect me from it because I was allergic to them. And I woke up really quick, and I thought, strange. I saw it flying around. I saw my cat jumping at it. Went out, and this was my former cat, went out into the living room, and my cat was just laying there like this. And there was a hornet in his ear, just stuck there. It's like it stung him, and he went to swat it, and it got stuck in his ear. Okay. My son had a accident happen to him, and even though nobody in the family told me, because I was actually sick and in the hospital, I was becoming more and more agitated because I knew something happened to my son. I had dreamt in the hospital of cement. All I could see was cement and blood everywhere. And I knew it was my son. I kept telling all the nurses, I need to find my son, I need to find my son. And my son was in the very same hospital on a different floor, and they wouldn't tell me because I was in the hospital. And I waited because my family would not tell me where he was, what was up, and I knew, and I knew, and I knew, and I knew. And when they finally did, and it was his decision, he didn't want me to see him the way he was. He was trying to spare me pain, but I had already seen it. It's the same thing with my daughter. I always see things well in advance. I saw Prince murdered. I wrote about it in Facebook. Now, the way I go into my dreams, like I said, is not always in the event. So I think where I came into the dream was leading up to it and after it. Like what preceded. There was a lot of commotion. There was a lot of packing. There was a lot of sorting. There was a lot of getting rid of stuff. There was a lot of cleanup. There was a lot of, I was on an airplane. I did not know that Prince had gone down in the airplane the week before. I didn't know that. I dreamt that. I dreamt I was on a plane and that it was going down very fast and that there was food flying everywhere on the plane and there was sticky juice in a woman's hair. I didn't know it was Judith Hill. A woman's hair. Her hair was just completely covered in what looked to be orange juice to me, or some kind of a, yeah, like orange juice. There was food everywhere. Carts were flying over on a plane, and I thought I was on a plane that was crashing because it was going down so fast. The next dream I had, I was heading towards Paisley Park, but I didn't know it was Paisley Park. I was flying. I fly in my dreams. I thought I was in a plane, but it was going to crash again, but I didn't see the interior of the plane, so I knew I was on my own. I thought I was heading towards a prison, a school, a factory, some kind of weird camp or something, a jail, hospital, and as I got towards the top and I saw the pyramid, I thought maybe it's a temple or a church. And the next thing I knew, I was just down inside the center of the stairway, hovering over the stairway. Now, I had never seen pictures of Paisley Park. I had never been in Paisley Park. Now that I've seen the investigation pictures, I know that my dream is validated. To the left were little black and white booths. To the other side of a stage were little tables that looked like they were triangular, they were square, they were round, there were throw pillows all around. And there was a little industrial kitchen, and I described the kitchen. I wrote it in Facebook. The kitchen was stainless steel, like a restaurant kitchen, but smaller. And what I took note of was there was a round-faced clock in there that I didn't think went with the kitchen, because it just kind of didn't go with it. It was kind of more like a homey, like what you'd see in a home. And it didn't go with that. It didn't look right in that area. And I noted the time, which was 3:41 in the morning. There were 3 women who were standing over an island, a granite, silver and gray island, texting and kind of hovering like they were cowering, like they were scared. There was an argument going on between Kirk and Prince. Kirk was trying to get Prince to go to bed. And Prince was, he plugged in his microphone to a box. I want to say amplifier, but I don't know if that's what it was, but it's a box. Plugged it in. And he was dressing them down. He was cutting them up. He was humiliating them. He was ripping lyrically, profoundly, powerfully, and telling them to get out. There was food again everywhere. On the counters, there was every kind of juice, carrot juice, beet juice, strawberries, every kind of fruit. It had been like a continental breakfast, like some kind of an event had taken place there. There was food everywhere. And Prince was really letting them know, go. I don't want you here. I didn't approve this. I didn't approve this. Why was this? He was really confronting them. He was throwing money at them. He was saying, take it, go. He was really stepping up to Kirk and saying, you don't want to be here. You resent being here. Leave. he planned for him to go on vacation. He was telling him, I've planned for you to go on vacation. And Kirk was saying, no, I don't want to leave you now. He was saying, yeah, you do want to leave me. You want to leave me. You've wanted to leave me. He was trying to get Kirk to tell the truth. He really didn't like two of the women he was talking to. One was really thin and one was a little bit stockier and shorter. And the two women, I know who they are now. One woman that I saw in my dream was definitely Judith Hill. The other woman was Marylin Burke. And I didn't know who the other woman was. And I thought for a long time, I wonder if it's Taika or Chaka Khan. Because the profile was sort of like the hair, face, I couldn't make out. But the side of the hair and the body structure, I kept thinking, could that be Chaka Khan? Who is that? Because there was a pronounced streaking in the hair and a wave that reminded me of Chaka Khan, or it was totally a different kind of hair than the other two girls who looked actually identical. Their hair was kinked out in a little fro. They were model thin and dressed to the T, beautifully dressed, and makeup perfect and just looking totally put together, only they were hovering and very afraid and crying. And I was distracted to look to another room because there was another man that entered and another man, and two of them were very heavy set. And the only one I recognized was Kirk, and I have a pretty good idea who the one man was, but I don't want to say yet because I will say this. If you saw pictures of him with a security outfit on, it was a costume. He was never security for Prince. And I'm not talking about Romeo. There was a guy walking around. There was a guy walking around in a pretend security outfit at Paisley Park for the memorial. He was never security. No. In my dream, Kirk was doing cleanup, quick cleanup. There were a lot of hours, and there was a lot of moving of Prince. And when I saw Prince, it looked like they put him to sleep. I couldn't understand it. It looked like Kirk was yelling at him one moment. That was at 3:41. I woke up, went back to sleep, and they were telling him he needed to go to sleep. He needed to go to bed. And one of the heavier men was trying to carry him upstairs. And they said, no, bring him on the elevator. And he was fighting them. He was saying, you don't tell me what to do in my house. You don't. He just really wanted them out of his home. Out. He was making arrangements. He made a vacation for Kirk and said, go. You're not here to be my nurse nanny. Go. These were direct things I was hearing was, I don't need to be looked after. You're not my nanny. You don't tell me when to shut up. You don't unplug me. You don't handle me. You don't put me in my place. I don't need you. He was telling him I don't need you. He was saying, you need me. You need me to need you. You need me to need you. He kept saying that. He said, but I don't need you. Get out. I heard gates clanging. I woke up again and it was 5:22 in the morning. And I thought I should just stay up at that point. But when I dream this way, I'm extra tired and I just keep falling back asleep, right back to sleep. And I was in the parking lot and they were loading up the van with boxes and big black trash bags of stuff. And Kirk was telling the drivers, who were these two men, go, get far away from here, put this stuff anywhere, throw it out, get rid of it, make some runs under the bridge, hit up the homeless shelters, get rid of the food. There was no party or anything happening here. Go. And there was something that was going on in my dream. I'm not saying it was the night he died. I'm saying I don't know. But the next thing I saw was policemen walking into Paisley Park. No, the third time I woke up, and the women were crying. They were screaming. They were, screaming, wailing. And that time I woke up, it was 5:22, and then it was 7:31. And it was just a few hours later that it was on the news that Prince died. Prince did not die naturally. He didn't just hobble onto his elevator and take enough pills to wipe himself out and a fleet of elephants. Prince was murdered. There was foul play, and it wasn't play, it was nasty. And he didn't die in the elevator. He actually, I believe he died trying to get off the elevator. He may have even tried to stop the elevator in between shafts, because what I saw was a big space in between, like, you know how the elevators get stuck, like they go up and they stop? I saw a space that he had to jump over to get out of the elevator. I saw him fall in the elevator. He didn't get into the elevator willingly. He didn't die in the elevator. But that was my dream. Now, is it going to match up with every psychic medium out there? No. Does it mean I don't believe them? No. It means everybody gets a little piece of something, and it's enough for me to say, I know what one person is saying is true, because enough of what Abigail Noel said confirms what I saw. And I've worked very hard with my dreams since then. I write down everything. I go to bed with a notebook. I write down everything. When I wake up, I try to look at it and say, how much of this was what I saw on TV? How much did I hear on the radio? What was happening that day that got into me? What was I afraid of? What subliminally entered my mind? What was I worrying about? What was on my to-do list? You know, anything. Were my neighbors coming home and slamming the door? Were their kids playing outside in the courtyard late at night? Were their cars revving their motor? I look at all that, because after years and years of having dreams, I know that all that can enter your dreams. Did my cat get up? Was he on the bed? And then he got up and he ate, jumped back on the bed. So I felt like I was maybe bouncing around in my dream. I look at all those factors, and I look at unresolved issues that I have that I might be trying to work out in my dreams. I dreamt that Prince was murdered. He was murdered. He was very, very agitated. He was very, very upset. He was very, very regretful and disgusted that he had sat down with Warner Brothers again for his master copies, for the anniversary of Purple Rain. He very much wanted to put that to rest, but he realized, I'm back again, very much like that. I can't believe they got me back again. I have to go where they want me to go. I have to produce music where they want me to go. I can only distribute when I want to distribute. He was back under contract again. Yeah, he was. And, I think Phaedra Ellis Williams is very, very important, because I think she was the lady I saw in dream. Now that the investigation has come out, and I've gotten to see Fedra, and I've gone to look at the picture, I'm like, oh my god. It wasn't Taika, it wasn't Shaka Khan, it was Fedra that I was seeing. Believe me, she was packing up a lot of stuff. She was everywhere. And she was getting those other two women in shape. She was like, what's going to happen here? Who was in charge? Kirk and Fedra. Kirk and Fedra. Now, I don't get anything about the chefs and the cooks and the pineapple juice other than he was drinking juice. I got juice on the plane in Judith's hair and all over. I got juice all over Prince at his home. And I felt like they were forcing him to take a pill and go to sleep with juice. But I didn't know. Is it pineapple? What is it? It was just orange. It's not. I'm not going to say it's orange juice. I'm going to say it was just the color orange that I saw. That's my dream. That was it. So I wanted to talk about my dream, and I'm like, we're almost 3 years into this, and I've never really, I've written it a million times on Facebook and left it open for everyone to see, and then I've closed it. But I believe that I enter with dreams before or after or during, and I catch little clips of things, and then other times when it's very pertinent to me, family member or whatever, and I believe that God shields me from what I can't handle, and only allows me to see what I can handle, because that is something I asked for when I was young. I asked when I finally realized I could talk to God, and God actually does listen and talk back to me, and will reason with me like a parent, and a parent wouldn't want you to be afraid to go to sleep every night. I actually went to God and said, I'm scared to go to sleep. Please keep me safe. I don't want to see things. I don't want to see strangers being killed, because I was seeing that. I would see complete strangers being choked. I would see people be stabbed that I didn't know. I would see children, babies, a baby I saw being drowned, and it was probably, and these weren't big high profile, they didn't have to be big high profile cases. These things just happen in the world, and then you see it on TV and you're like, oh, I know. There was a case here in Rochester with a young man who, autistic child, who went to school on his school bus, but got off his bus and walked away. Search parties were everywhere looking for him. The minute I saw the picture of him, I said to everyone, he's dead already. He's dead. Because there was an energy missing from him that I pick up on. And I said, Travis is dead. And people didn't want to hear that. And I was part of the search party, and I said, well, he's already in water, frozen. I knew he was in a creek or water, a body of water, and the scuba team needed to come immediately. And they left too early. And I kept saying, I knew the mother and the aunt and everyone involved wanted us just to all stay positive. He's still out there. He could be under a car. He could have climbed on a roof. He could be in a tree. He likes to go to high places. He might think he's in trouble. He'll be scared. We were going on 3 days, and I was like, oh, within 2 seconds of seeing his picture on the news, I said, he's already in a body of water, frozen. He didn't wander off. Nobody took him. He walked straight to the water, jumped in, and froze to death. And that's exactly what happened to him. He walked straight for the bridge and went over the side. So yeah, I pay attention to my dreams now. I really do. I hate walking anywhere where there's all those signs of missing children, because I can see right away when they're dead and when they're alive. So besides the dreams, I've always had the ability to just know. I remember I said something to my therapist once, and he was like, "How did you know that?" And I tried to like make up something. Like I was like, well, I don't know. I saw it somewhere in the newspaper or whatever. He's like, nobody could have known that was in the newspaper. And I don't know, but I knew. And I'm sorry. It was something with his family. It was a family member. It was actually his sister had died. And I said, I'm so sorry about your sister. And she had been sick, but she had been improving. And it actually wasn't in the paper anywhere, and I dreamt it. I dreamt he was at the funeral. And I was like, how did you know? And I didn't want to tell him why I dreamt it. So I just was like, I don't know, I saw it somewhere. Yeah. I think sometimes my kids and things think that I follow them around or something, or that mommy, radar, you just follow it. No, a lot of times you just know stuff. And the worst thing you can do is dummy it down. I mean, you have to know when to keep silent about things that you know. Because God has a time for the truth. And maybe you know to comfort you. Maybe you know something that's true that hasn't come to fruition yet, to give you comfort to know there will be justice, or the truth will be the truth. Time always outs the truth. God gives us all the truth, and we're either willing to see it or we're not, and time will eventually out it, whether we're willing or not to see the truth. The truth is, Prince Rogers Nelson was murdered. No, Charles Chaz Smith, your cousin wasn't addicted. No, he wasn't. The coroner report, and I know you know the coroner. You know the coroner report. You've been talking to the police. The report would have said his pancreas, his liver, his kidneys, his lungs, his heart, and his brain would have been completely destroyed had he been actually on Percocet, Percodan, oxycodone, but none of it was found. Only such a large dose of fentanyl, enough to kill a fleet of baby elephants, or one really large elephant. He was killed. Now, I don't see anything. When I look at Ray Roberts, I don't get anything. I get a lot when I look at Jewel. I get a lot of, I don't want to say bad juju, I just want to say confused juju. Like, they were fired. They were fired. They were let go 3 times. Check with Mariah Brown, Prince's original assistant, who found Murrin to become her replacement. Mariah Brown couldn't get along with Pedro Ellis Williams, and well, I'm not getting into all that. I just will say, you want to talk to Mariah Brown. You want to look at why Murrin had $3,000 in her purse when the police got there. you want to look at why Prince planned for Kirk to go. He was giving him his paid vacation. He was saying, "There's the door, Kirk." He sent you to LA. Go do your thing. Do it. Go back to LA. You don't need to be here. Go back to LA. So I started with talking about Roseanne. I ended up talking about Prince. I talked about the Illuminati. I talked about everything in between, my dreams. And Abigail Noel and how she's an open channel intuitive, and justice for Prince, and justice for Cuz. Charles Chaz Smith is Prince's cousin and was the leader of the first band that Prince was in. Talented man, very close, grew up with Prince, and he knows, my cousin, this is not, it's his cousin. He's like, no, this is not. Prince didn't live that way, disheveled, his house disheveled, packed up everything. So, honestly, when I first saw the investigation pictures, two things struck me. One, I didn't want to see Prince dead, but when you're looking at it, it just shows the atrium and all of a sudden he's just there. The first thing I thought was, he's not dead. That's not a dead man. That's not a dead man. And the reason I can say that is because I pick up on energy when you're looking at a shell of a body and you're looking at a shell, and when the life force is still in the body. So I was like, this is some kind of a staged weird photo. Okay. So I really entertained in my brain. I wonder if Prince took the golden parachute and faked his death. I wonder if he said, okay, I'm tired. I want to go have my life. No. He's dead, but that wasn't his body that we saw in the atrium. Or they did some massive cleanup and dressed him up and made him look that way. So I've gone there at times, like, no matter everything I know in my soul, I've gone to, I wonder if he's still alive like Elvis. Dead like Elvis. Appearing everywhere. But there's been no appearances of Prince. Only in my dreams. And only in other people's visions. I don't get visions of Prince. I dream about him. Well, I guess that's sleep dreams, vision. But whenever Prince comes to me in a dream, it's back at Paisley Park. That whole scene is being revisited. It's like not like he pops in my dream and says, "Hey, wake up and exercise now." Time to wake up and exercise. Nope. I don't get that. I get very agitated, upset. Prince trying to control his life and it being totally out of control. And them telling him what he's going to do. So, that's my dream. And what I wanted to say about Roseanne is we've all been on ups and downs with Roseanne through her career. But I keep in mind that she is one of the most prolific, profound truthers out there. And I never wanted to believe half of the stuff she said that under truther, because it sounded crazy. But it comes to pass and it's true. Why would she make a statement that is so racist? I don't know. I'm going to follow my own advice here and say I don't know. But I know that she would have gotten away with that statement had she said it on her TV show in character. Or had they had another character talking with her and saying that, and then her playing the person playing a role. Just like Carol Connor would not get away with saying anything she said as Archie Bunker. So where are we at now? We're willing to listen to things that are wrong if a person is in character on a TV show, on a fictional TV show. We're willing to accept it, laugh uncomfortably, agree a little bit, or just not say anything. Like watching a dirty movie. Like, I'm not really watching this. Well, I'm not really getting any pleasure out of watching this. Like like nobody ever saw a porn film before. Or a adult film. I got a little bit of pleasure out of it. I don't want to admit it. We're all nasty little children at heart. We really are. And God already knows that. And God still loves us. So everything that's been hidden is going to be in the light. And I leave it all to God at this point. It's the best thing you could do. The worst thing that could happen. My father used to say something to me all the time. He'd say, we're all going to die, Maria. The worst thing, what's the worst that somebody can do to you? Ever. We're all going to die. And when you die, what's going to happen? You think of it that way, you don't have too much to worry about. Okay, that's my video. If you hung in, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. You must have been really bored. No, thanks for listening. I just wanted to share my video about Prince and about Roseanne and about media and about this crazy world we're in right now where it really is okay to be crazy because guess what? We have a president that's crazy now too. Gets away with it. But that's not him either. He's playing a role too. Just a puppet. Just a puppet. He never wanted to be played. He's like, oh, can't believe I'm here. Oh, and there's no way Melania went into the hospital for what they're saying she went into the hospital for. But that's none of our business. But I already know. And so that and if you really think about it, you'll know too. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.